Okay, our next block is the rail fence. So this is the rail fence down here. And what we need to do, as per instructions, is cut four 2-inch strips, so all of different colours, and we're going to sew those together. So they're 27-inch strips. I've actually, some of them are a bit longer, but that's okay, as long as you've got 27 inches. So right sides together. You can pin them if you want, or just very carefully make sure when you've got the 1/4-inch foot, when you've got under the 1/4-inch foot, that it goes under the 1/4-inch foot right up to that little gauge. And it's a good start. And just keep stopping and lining up your edges of your fabric so that you've got nice 1/4-inch seams and everything. You're going to have the right amount of fabric in your strip. So what I'll do is I'll sew all these together and I'll come back to you with the ironing and cutting. So now I've got these 4 strips ironed together and I want to iron all the seams. So I'm going to iron, because this is the pale colour, I'm going to iron them away from that pale colour, all in the one direction. So with your iron, just iron them all in the one direction from the back first. And then turn over and make sure that you've stretched it out. Don't go over stretch, but stretch it out enough that you've got all the fabric, the right amount of fabric width-wise in your strips. And you haven't got any little kind of pockets in there. Right, so now we're going to cut it into 6.5-inch strata pieces. So as I was saying, with strata pieces, like, you're going to have to cut that bit off the edge there because it's all uneven. So we'll just go a little bit past 6.5. This is a 6.5-inch square. Whoops. Turn it over. Okay, so that's one. Just lining up your seams with some of the lines there. 2. 4. Right, okay, so we've done those 4 strips. Now we have to lay it out in the arrangement as per diagram. So that basically is how it is, like that. So as you can see, there's kind of like this cross in the middle. So we'll sew these 2 together and those 2 together and then those 2 together. So I'll just quickly sew these together. Pin them so you get the edge. You might have to sort of stretch it, what we call ease, so that the sides line up. So I'll sew that one. That's line 1, that way, and then we want this one this way. Once again, you'll have to stretch it slightly because, you know, this one's slightly narrower than 6.5, but once you stretch it out, it'll fit. This together. so that one's like that. And we're just going to iron, because we want the seams in the back to interlock, so iron one way, which that's a pretty obvious way it wants to sit that way, so iron that way. And the other one the way it wants to sit, and they will interlock. That way. Okay. So we'll line up those seams again. Make sure you get that nice point in the middle. You can always go to your back to basics, remember that, girls, and if you go to back to basics, you can have a look at like really obvious things sometimes, and you go back and have a look at them and they all become obvious, if you like to say. All right, so let's do this and then we'll be finished that block. Very easy block, very quick. So we're going to take this over the iron, give it an iron on the back. And then we have our rail fence block with the nice points in the middle, corners in the middle I should say. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put the wadding and the backing on it and quilt it for you, and then I'll come back and show you how I actually drew up the block for the quilting. Okay, so now I've actually put the 3 layers together, the backing, the wadding and the block, and I'll show you how I gridded out the block for quilting. What I've done is, because these are 1.5 inches wide, I've just used my 3/4 of an inch. I've put my 3/4 of an inch on that actual seam there and drawn a line. So each one of them I've drawn a line. So I've gone through on all 4 sides and done that. Then when I've quilted it, I've actually started on this blue and purple one, and I've gone up, across, down, across, up, across, down, and finished. And then started on this one again, up, across, down, across, up, across, down. Just so you haven't got too many ends and bits of thread sticking out. So yeah, up, across, down, across, up, across, down. So that's very simple quilting, but very effective. So that is your finished. Give it a good iron, sorry. Get it nice and finished, looking very nice. That's your finished rail fence block.